Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Hey, welcome back to the Three Blind Refs podcast, where everything's made up and Jim's opinion doesn't matter.
You know, that's funny. I caught a little bit of Whose Line Is It Anyway last week, and I could watch that every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it doesn't get enough credit.
Agree.
Yeah. Oh, but for real, we're live from the Andrew Downs AKC Marketing Studio, sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company and Green Beret Realty. Jim, you got something to say? I'm just kidding. Your opinions matter.
Well, other than me wanting to just pretty much reach through the screen and slap you in the mouth, that's about all I have right now.
Okay.
Wow, that's aggressive. Here we are.
Is it different than any other night we're together?
Yeah. No, it's not. You know, when I was younger, my dad told me something about opinions, but I won't tell you what he told me.
Does it have something to do with something in one hand
or everybody's got one?
And they all stink.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're an idiot.
So anyway, let's recap last podcast. Obviously, we told you where we had been, where we were going, and we had Jamie Smith, the head girls coach for Solon, on, and that was a really good show. Really enjoyed having Jamie on.
Yeah, great guy.
I think we could have went like 3 hours with Jamie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He always has, something to say. And, like I said, we're always looking at film and always good to get his insights. And that was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So we'll have to have him back on again because I think we can do a lot with Jamie on here. So
yeah,
shout out to you, Jamie. Hope you're listening and good luck the rest of this season. So
yep, you bet.
How was snow day today for you guys?
It was awesome.
It was, just a normal day for me. Just going to work trying to make $1,
Yeah. Well, school's already closed again tomorrow, so 2 days off this week. Between last week and this week, I think I'm going to get 3 days of work in if we go to school on Friday. So kind of nice, I guess.
See, Jim, the city doesn't shut down for a little bit of snow.
Well, yeah,
I guess I would be considered an essential worker.
Well, I mean, they really don't care about you, but we care about our students, and their well-being and being out in the snow and cold and us going in the ditch in the country. That's a little different.
That's fair. I have 6 blocks to drive to work.
Yeah, well, I have 2, but It was tough for me to make it today. So.
You could throw a baseball to work.
Yeah. Well, I could a few years ago, probably, but not now.
Isn't Melcher like 6 blocks long or wide, roughly?
Wide. Yeah, you're probably getting pretty close there. Yeah.
What if you add Dallas?
Well,
We don't talk about Dallas.
No, well, we do. We like Dallas. I mean, we brought him in, but we made sure we put the name Melcher in front of it.
Which goes
Dallas.
against everything.
Hope there's no Dallas people listening. I'll be catching crap for that.
Fred Melcher, local hero.
That's right. Build those Melcher roads into Dallas's alleys.
Yeah, we got to hear the history of that the other day.
Just
Jim
like
filled us in.
Yeah. Good old Melcher Dallas.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, hey, you want to talk about where we've been?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go back to January 31st. Sam and Casey and I actually ran to Mount Air to see Scotty Giles, and that was a really fun night. And Jim, your wife's nephew plays for Southeast Warren on the boys' side, and man, that game was crazy. Just like probably one of our best games of the season as far as play. I think Southeast Warren won that one 61-60.
Yeah, but at one point it was, I believe, like a 19-point spread.
Yeah, maybe 19-20, somewhere right in there.
Yeah. I thought,
and then we cut it to 11 or 12 at half. But really, Mount Air hadn't played super great up to that point, and but then kind of came back and made a heck of a game out of it. So
yeah,
those last, gosh, I'd say 3 minutes felt like 2 hours of great play, free throws, fouls, shots. Like, man, Jackson Ruggles had a game. What did he end up with? 40?
Wow.
And hit shot after shot kind of at the end there to make that a close game. In fact, he wanted to buzzer to make it a 1-point game. So, one more possession changes it one way or the other too. So just shout out to Southeast Warren boys and Mount Air boys. That was a heck of a game.
It was really fun to work.
Girls game was fun to work too. That was well played. But the boys game was definitely the really amazing part of the night, or really in the season too. So anyway.
Yeah, Lisa went down there and watched it, and she's giving me updates at the end of the game, and it's just like going back and forth. I mean, it was 4 points back to 1 to 2 to whatever, and it just was it was kind of exciting just to see what was going on. So, and I'm gonna give a shout out to my nephew Cam Cipher, who's on Southeast Warren's team. I've got 6'4". His game has gotten much better.
He's a player, man.
Yeah,
he is a player,
and he's every bit as good a kid as he is a player. So it was kind of nice to see. I actually got to watch the Mount Air Southeast Warren game at Southeast Warren earlier in the year, because I think it was might have been one of the days that was a cold day in December, and they had to reschedule it. Had it on a Thursday, so I didn't have a game to ref or a game at home, so I went and watched it. And that was a good game too. That was a lot of fun to watch both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And of course, Scotty took care of us, like he always does. So, and I think that was maybe our last time. At least maybe we'll see Casey in the playoffs, but last time with Casey during the regular season too. So, so then the next day, short turnaround, I ended up at Melcher Dallas, Jim, and your conference tournament's always kind of a fun thing to be a part of, and it was neat to have it there at your place with the new gym. And you've added a lot of touches, the stuff on the signs on the wall, and it was fun, man. It was a loud gym for that girls' game. So
yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, that girls' game was went to overtime, which is always the officials' fault, and I'm glad I wasn't on that crew, but. It was very, very good game as far as the crowds were great. I didn't realize, our gym, we've had some games that have been kind of loud in that, but I think that was probably louder than anything. And our kids contributed to some of that too. They were there in the student section and cheering on the game. But Yeah, we really like that conference tournament. I mean, it comes up every 2 to 3 years. If we lose a school here or there, like Orient Maxburg is no longer going to have a school district next year, so it puts us down to 10 teams. So the discussion sometimes is, well, let's just play everybody twice in the conference and have 18 conference games and 3 non-conference games and have, home and away series and not do the conference tournament. But the majority of the ADs and coaches will say they don't want that. They like playing everybody once. They like having the conference tournament because, it's just a chance for you to grab another championship. Like, Melcher Dallas girls went undefeated in the conference play, 10-0, and then they ended up losing to Lamoni, who was eventual Bluegrass Conference tournament champion. So, that gave Lamoni girls, you still have an incentive at the end of the season to say, hey, we can still win a conference championship. And we really like it. I think it's fairly unique. I know there's a few other conferences that do it, but I'm not sure how many of them play out even, losers bracket games and all that and play the third place games on Saturday before the championship. So we like it, and I don't foresee it being gone in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. It's unique. And, the hospitality room, that's cool. You're getting all your coaches and ADs there. And, gave me the opportunity to ref with a couple of friends of mine, Mark Royer and Dave Lutz, coming over from Council Bluffs. So, Lamoni and Murray girls, that was a great game. And then we had Ankeny Christian and Moravia boys. So it was good to be down there again, Jim. And then we hung out a little bit. So
yeah,
that was a fun day.
It was a good day. It was, it was a long day. I think I went up to the gym about 8:30 in the morning to clean the floor with the scrubber, and then just make sure everything's ready.
I got to see a picture of that.
Yeah, I was actually going to send one to you guys. I was going to send a selfie while I was driving it down the hallway, send a little video, but
is it like a mini Zamboni?
It's like a little Zamboni. It's a stand-up, though. You stand on it. It's only like 24 inches wide, so you got to go up and down the court quite a few times to get it clean. But so we did that, and then our third place game started at 12 o'clock, and then we played all the way through, and I don't know, probably was done about 8:30. So, it was about a 12-hour day up there, and still enjoyed it. And, we had a lot of fun and had a lot of good compliments on our gym. So,
we could have been out of there a little bit earlier if the shower hadn't taken a half hour to warm up.
Well, I think now we haven't figured out where to set the shower setting on.
That's right.
So it will get warm. You usually turn it completely all the way on, and it usually gets hot. Well, this doesn't. You have to kind of go just barely on, and it starts getting warm. So
you might want to move your water heaters from Knoxville.
There's 2 huge ones right above it, brand new. So yeah, I don't know. I'll get on the maintenance guy.
Ride your Zamboni down there and get it fixed, Jim. Let's go. Our next night was Tuesday the 4th at Elkhorn Kimballton against IGHSAU Elkhorn Kimballton against Peyton Sheridan. Really pretty smooth night. Like we kind of got in and get out of there, and 2 pretty clean games, I would say. Seems like we're at that point in the season when teams are kind of hitting their stride, and I think,
what happened?
I don't know. Am I still here?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're kind of hitting our stride too. So
Am I still here?
Well, like my screensaver went, and sometimes I have
glitch.
I don't know.
Huh.
I'm here. You can hear me and see me.
I mean, I guess it's good that you're still here.
Anyway, as I was saying, some of us are hitting our stride. Maybe not Jim, but go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just going to reiterate it was a smooth night. No shower. Well, shower, but Jim couldn't get the shower hot.
Cold.
But this is like that thing, like we'll talk about this when we go to the AD convention, and I'll talk about that later. But man, test your showers. And, it's like anywhere you go, a millimeter could be 1,000 degrees, or all the way to the right is hot here, but just inside of off is hot here. And
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, for instance, Mount Air is opposite.
Right.
Turn it
Right.
on hot, you get cold.
See, just one of those, another thing that we go through every single night.
Right. And, after you run up and down the floor for, close to 3 hours, you kind of want to take a shower before you go home. But, especially when you're with Sam, because he really stinks after he gets done reffing.
I deserve that, but remember what we said about opinions, Jim.
Yep, I got you. Drink to that.
So then last Friday we were at Bondurant Farrar against North Polk. Again, just a really smooth night. In fact, I think we were done with both games by 8:45, which is
It was early.
we just never have that happen. So I think boys game, didn't we have 2 fouls in the first quarter, and they were both with under 2 minutes left in the quarter?
Yeah,
I mean,
at 2:15, I believe was the first foul. 2:15 left. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I blew my whistle in the first quarter.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you did. And probably on an out of bounds call that you might not have. I don't know.
Jim, could you explain that a little further?
So we each have our own lines to call. So, I mean, most officials know this. The lead has the whole baseline. The C has his sideline. And the trail has his sideline and the half court line for the most part. The C can help out on the half court line, and for over and back. And usually if the ball goes out on your side, you blow a whistle, you point the direction it's going to go, and then you take the ball out if it's still in the front court. I don't know. It seems like it's, pretty basic, but
I thought it was going to be a tweener.
Except, didn't you do it again at Lennox the other night?
I think he did.
I thought it was going to be a tweener.
I should have. I could have probably tried to pull up video from both of those. We could have had that on there with us, or at least you, looking at Sam like, okay, I'll blow my whistle. Sam's not going to.
And then hold the ball for him to come.
No reason to find the video, guys.
I'm making a note right now.
Jim, do you know what a tweener is?
I know. What's a tweener, Sam?
Never mind.
I think Sam's a little butthurt right now. Just having fun, Sam.
Yeah. Man, this is how it feels to be Jim.
Yeah. Usually this is at Jim's expense. So
the nice thing that we were talking to some of the people at Lennox at the bench. I know we're going to we haven't got to that game yet, but some of them said, they'd watch the podcast and they say, it looks like you guys have a really fun time working together. And we do. And this is what we do from about the time we get into the vehicle together till we leave the vehicle. This is what we do. And, take it or leave it.
Yeah,
for sure. I've got a pretty good picture here coming up when we introduce our guests of the kind of fun we have. So.
Yeah, anyway. So a couple brain farts. Are we done with that, guys?
Yeah, I hope so. Are you?
I hope so. Since we're getting into playoffs.
We're
talking playoffs.
You're talking about playoffs?
All right, last game. We were just Monday night at Lennox, and we go to Lennox every year. One of those we kind of schedule on our own with AD Mandy Stokes. Really love going there. It was Jim's last regular season game.
It was. That was I mean, it didn't hit me a whole lot till you kind of think about it as you're going home, and it's like, for one thing, I'm not going to do another boy-girl doubleheader again. The rest of the games in the tournament are one games, and I guess I don't know if I'm doing any tournament games yet because I haven't got any assigned, so we'll see. We like doing the 1A schools and that we have fun, I think we've gotten asked before, why do we still go to some of those places? Because, when we started out, all of us, we started out at those places. And, I always say, I had somebody ask me one time about why do I go to, and it was Lineville Clio at the time. I mean, that gym, if you've been in it, is a cracker box. It's small, but Mike Schneider was the AD and basketball coach down there, and he gave me some of my first chances to officiate. And my answer was also to them is those kids deserve good officials too. So, those are some of the places you feel like you're welcomed and they want you to be there.
Yep. Yeah. When I emailed Mandy, just to do our confirmation, she was like, yeah, you guys are coming. And, I think Tom Peterson and Elkhorn, he's the same way, really likes having us there. So I do enjoy those games. Lennox is kind of a unique place because the gym feels about the size of our screen. So it's kind of a unique place to work. But just really neat. And, I think everybody enjoyed us being there that night. So,
yeah, I wonder if anybody's happened to have broken a finger pointing out of bounds on the baseline.
Right.
Because you really have to take a step or two out if you're pointing towards the wall, because if you don't, you're going to jam your finger into the wall. So,
sure.
And we're not making fun of the gym, because all those gyms like that, our old gym that we had, had its, its unique perspectives and like, their home side is up on a stage, so the people are kind of a little bit away from you anyway. And, you're not running by people's feet on the way down and that. So they all have their neat, special, unique things, those older 1A and 2A gyms.
Yeah.
And I love their floor too. I mean, it was really pretty floor. So I should have got a picture of that, but we'll get it down the road here. But I did want to, Jim, kind of for your last last hurrah there, I just wanted to show a picture that kind of represents the fun that we have with you. And
yep, we find the AED, try to find it everywhere we go. I mean, guys want to make fun of me for having 2 heart attacks in the last 10 years, but hey,
you never know.
You don't. You don't.
I don't know, what we're going to do, Jim, without you. Like, that's going to be time we don't have to spend now when we have to look for that. But luckily, that one in Elkhorn is right outside the room we're at, so that's handy.
Yeah, it's right there just in case, so that's good.
And did you see that's an AED plus? Like, I don't know what that does, but hopefully it gives you mouth to mouth so we don't have to.
Well, hey, if that ever comes down to that, guys, just let me go.
It has a mouth dam in it.
But don't if you have to do mouth to mouth without a mouth guard in there that we try to put in our med kits at school and that if there's not one around, just let me go, please.
You didn't have to tell me that, Jim. I wasn't going to do it anyway.
Don't want to have to come back out of that and know that happened or remember it. I just don't.
All right, let's get to our guest because he's waiting and I can see him laughing.
Oh, geez, it is a little later than we thought, isn't it?
I know. Sorry, Ben. So I want to introduce Assistant Director at the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, and I'm going to butcher this. I always do. I always get myself wrong. Ben
Wyke.
Yes. Here we go.
How are we doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Ben.
Good. While we're sharing pictures of Crozier on the mini Zamboni, make sure you send that my way when that comes out.
Deal. So just to our listeners here, so they kind of know the relationship we have with Ben too. I think this was it Friday night or last Tuesday when I texted you, and I knew you were busy as heck, but this is the shot that we sent to you. That's a normal night for us, normal road trip. So good stuff.
That's good.
So has your life calmed down a little bit, Ben? You had girls state wrestling last week and you're preparing here for girls state basketball. So are you trying to decompress this week?
This time of year, we really don't get a decompress until after state basketball. Our decompress is kind of the month of December. And then as January is getting in, starting preparation for state wrestling already. We do get a couple weeks off here. We have state bowling in a week and a half, which is a 3-day event up in Waterloo. And then so we go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on that, and then roll right into state basketball the following week. So we're pretty pedal to the floor here for about another 4 weeks.
Gotcha. So we had you on at the state tournament last year, and obviously we had some technical difficulties. So we're going to kind of repeat some of this. Just tell us how you got to be at the Union, and kind of your career path, because you and I had met I think when you were head basketball coach at Ogden. Is that correct?
Correct. I was going to ask you if you remember that story. That's a good one. We'll come back to that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I kind of took maybe a non-traditional route to my role now at the Girls Union. When I graduated, my wife and I moved back to Pella, where we were both from, and I actually was teaching K-8 PE and was the middle school athletic director there for 3 years. Going back to when I was at college, also at Dort in Sioux Center, I played basketball there for 2 years, and then had an opportunity to coach there as a student assistant my junior and senior year. And so it kind of got my feet wet into the coaching world. And then my first 3 years, then when I was the middle school AD and coaching PE, I was the boys assistant coach at Pella Christian, and had kind of had an itch to explore the college coaching world again. And so it was actually July. We were about 5 weeks away from starting school again, and I had gotten a call from my college basketball coach who had said that their GA at the time had taken a high school job after 1 year and the job was open. And he said, the job is yours if you want it. And mind you, my wife and I had owned a house for 3 years. School was starting in 5 weeks or so. She had a job there. And so we had a number of conversations. My principal knew this was something I was looking at. Long story short, everything panned out. And 4 weeks later, we moved back up to Sioux Center, and I was the GA there for 2 years. I still remember December of year 2 of that program. We were up in Jamestown, North Dakota for a game. And I was looking out my hotel room and sharing a hotel with our head coach. And he looked at me and he goes, do you really want to coach college basketball? And I looked at him, and for the first time I said, no. And I wasn't ready to ask my wife, or even me personally, just to, go on a job hunt and really move anywhere. And so it was at that point where I started looking for AD jobs, and we landed in Ogden. My wife was an Iowa State graduate. She had a couple siblings who were still at Iowa State. So we lived in Ames for 6.5 years. So I was the AD there and girls basketball coach. I was the AD there for 5.5, coached girls basketball there, I believe, for 4.5, was the head coach for 3 years there. And then oddly enough, mid-year, there was an opening at the Girls Union, and I had been looking for something different. I had been an AD for 5 years, which is an anomaly in itself, making it even to year 5, but was just looking for something a little bit different. My oldest son was getting to the age where being gone a lot was pretty difficult. And so again, that opportunity popped up at the Girls Union, and kind of uniquely started there mid-year. And so I still remember I did our girls wrestling and JV boys wrestling tournament on a Saturday in January, and turned my keys in that night when I left at 11 o'clock and started at the Girls Union the next Monday.
Oh, wow.
So little non-traditional, but just started going on my third year now, going on my 4th year, I should say. So yeah, it's been a good 3 years.
Nice.
Cool.
So I was thinking back, and I actually happened to pull this up. I think we had back-to-back games. I was at Ogden for a boys tournament game on a Monday.
Okay.
And then I was at Earlham for your girls the next night. Is that correct?
That's the game.
So that's 2018.
So here's the story with that. That was the 3rd time we had played Earlham that year. The first time we played them, they beat us by 40. The second time we played them, they beat us by 25. And we went down there for a regional game, had them on the ropes, and lost by 3.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And the reason I remember that game, Ben, is because I would still consider myself relatively young and an immature coach at that time. And I had a lot of times during the year where wrongfully, I would communicate kindly with officials, right? But they're trying to explain things to me, and I'm just in my head, I'm thinking, no, you're wrong. Like, you're applying this rule incorrectly. And then I remember getting down there, and I don't know if that was the first time I had you for a game, but I just remember having conversations with you, and you came up to me and you talked to me calmly and you explained things to me, and I'm like, God, he's right. And I had nothing for that.
See that, Jim? See, Jim?
So
I thought he was going to say Ben blew it for him.
The audio
something's wrong with the audio. I couldn't hear that.
I think of that. I think back on that, and that was really like one of my first experiences of what I look at as been an official that was really doing well and communicating well with coaches. And I have a similar story. I don't know if I've ever told him this. I have a similar story with Chris Larson at Norwalk when I was a player, and just something very simple he said to me in a handshake line when I was a sophomore that just stuck with me forever and like changed my whole perception of opposing coaches and someone I really admired. And so, yeah, that's funny you bring that up. That was one of my favorite coaching games I have ever coached.
That was a good night, and I think we even maybe emailed the next day or the following week or something like that. So it's funny, Iowa's such a small state, and like we say a lot of times, especially with my daughters, like everybody. Well, in basketball in Iowa, you get to know everybody, and now here you are. You're at the whole state tournament when we're down there, and we're talking to you on the road and sending you pictures, and so here we are. So, love it. I love it.
I didn't know that picture was going to you, or else I would not have done that.
Yeah, such a liar. Such a liar.
That's funny.
That's good stuff. Hey, real quick before we kind of go any further, I ought to take a quick break to hit our sponsors here. So just hang tight, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
When energy meets precision, anything is possible.
I'm Carter Hawley, the Chief Energy Officer of the Iowa State Cyclones. I'm full of energy on and off the court, but nothing gives me more energy than helping families find their dream home. And that's where Green Beret Realty comes in. They're more than just realtors. They're a team dedicated to getting things right for you and your family, just like we get it right on the court.
No basket. Fouls on the floor before the shot. Out of bounds.
Come on! Can you believe that? You can't take that away from me.
That call was absolutely terrible. Are you guys cautiously trying to be this bad? I mean, does your mom not love you?
Have you seen how old my partner is? My back hurts already from carrying him all night. And I've heard enough out of you.
So you're gone. Fine.
Jim, are you blind? Basket's good. We've got a three-pointer. Sometimes it takes a team to get the call right. And when you're buying a home, you want a team that makes all the right calls. That is Green Beret Realty. And here's the best part. When you buy or sell a home through Dan at Green Beret Realty and mention this ad, he'll make a donation to the We Will Collective, helping student athletes like me thrive on and off the court.
That call's so easy, even we can make it.
Green Beret Realty, because getting the call right means everything.
Jim, how many takes did that Green Beret Realty commercial take you?
1. Just want to know if you like my shirt.
I can tell you haven't worn it very often because the minute text hasn't worn off yet from the wash. So either you're not washing it or you're not wearing it.
Look at it's kind of starting to.
He's probably not washing it.
That's an exclusive. You better be wearing that after post game, after your games.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
So let's talk about the Monday Minute. Was that your idea?
No, that was actually Taylor's idea in our office. So Taylor and I work with Apex. It's kind of an advanced learning program through the Waukee schools. And so we get 2 interns from them every semester who we just kind of give them a behind the scenes look. So a couple of years ago, shortly after both of us had started, that group came in, and what they had done previously for our organization was they had created basically bulletins, right? And so it started as Taylor's like, do you guys ever read anything? And they're like, well, no. And he's like, well, let's change the variable here on the content that we're creating. What if we did something in video form? And we started thinking on our own side of things, having a number of ADs in the office and us openly saying, hey, when you guys sent stuff out to us, we didn't read it. You get so many emails from so many different people throughout the course of a day as an AD and as a coach, you really kind of just filter through what you want to read and you grab bits and pieces. But we kind of figured, if we can condense information into a 90 seconds or 60-second video, and they know every single week it is going to come out on this day and at this time, hopefully we can do a better job from our organization of communicating. And so I think that conversation happened on a Thursday, and Gene asked us at that time, well, how fast can you start? And we're like, well, let's do it for next Monday. So we walked across the street to Lowe's. We bought a half a gallon of paint. We painted a corner of this back closet room we had a different color, and we started throwing stuff up on the walls. We had a little camcorder, one of those old ones that kind of sits around your hand, with a flip out screen. Threw that on a tripod, and I learned how to use iMovie editing in about the first Monday Minute we put out. Took us probably 3 hours to produce. Now we film it Monday at like 8:45 in the morning, edit it, and it's out an hour and a half later. So
nice.
That's cool.
It's our hopefully effective way to reach the people we need to communicate with.
That's a great idea.
Agree 100%. I watch it every Monday.
Yep. It's great. It's informational and it's funny too. And I think you've even called me out on it without saying my name.
I have. Now it's almost just kind of become a challenge of we have never missed a week of putting a video out. In 2.5 years.
Wow.
Even over Christmas, I think it was 2 years ago. I filmed a 60-second video in my in-laws' backyard and did a snow angel. And I just said, the streak continues. See you next week. And so now it's just kind of an internal game and kind of, we can't miss a week. Sometimes it comes out on Monday. If Monday's a holiday, we've created the Tuesday tidbit, which will come out on Tuesday if we need to. But no, we have put out a video every week for the last 2.5 years.
That's awesome.
Nice. And Jim, I'm sure appreciates that he can watch it on his computer and not a projector like he.
And we put closed captioning on for Jim too.
And now you know why we sent the picture to Ben.
Jim, you've got a few questions here you wanted to ask, so I'm going to let you kind of lead here.
Yeah, well, here's one I think really hits right now, especially we have a shortage of officials. Yeah. I think we know that, that. What do you think that are the biggest reasons why we have a shortage of officials right
now? It's a thankless job for one. I think from speaking from my lens, from our organization, I think we need to do a better job of reaching people at a younger age. But the problem with that is, how can you get somebody into it to get their feet wet and not put them in an environment where they're going to be soured by that experience and run away from it? I think some of the mentoring programs that have gone on in the officiating world has helped to keep people in it and to help people experience it in a positive way. But at the end of the day, you have to be really committed to giving back to the sport, to spend some long nights on some long road trips, to get yelled at by people who really don't know what they're talking about most of the time. I think we've tried to take a stand as an organization at our own events and put a kibosh to that, but I think it's a complete effort statewide, and ensuring that the people that are officiating our games are at least being protected. I don't think we have to go into it with a mindset that they're going to be perfect and they're going to make every calls and they're exempt from criticism. But there's a better way to do it right now than I think what happens across the board. And it's not exclusive to high school athletics. Anyone who walks into a college game, whether it's Kinnick Stadium or Hilton Coliseum or whatever it is, and you just listen to some of the stuff that people yell, and it's mind-boggling sometimes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with that, and I think I I watch at the girls state tournament, and for at least last year, Erin was kind of the student section police, and she would tell them exactly what, could be said, couldn't be said, da da da. And if something was going wrong, she'd come up and address it and that. And any of you, I'm sure would have if you'd have been around it. But I just, in my opinion, as being an athletic director, I don't think we do that enough overall in our local gyms and that during that. Our principal did a good job of telling our kids in our student section, you're not a coach and you're not an official. So you don't get to yell at the kids for what they're doing wrong, and you don't get to yell at the officials for what they're doing, what you think they did wrong. And so it's kind of nice because I just sit there. Sometimes I'm in a chair and one of them will yell travel, and they almost look at me before I look at them. And I look at them, I go, "You're not an official." And they go, "Yeah, I'm sorry." So
I think
have more of that.
Going back to what you talked about with Aaron, about 2.5 years ago, we started, we kind of had an internal conversation about how we were going to address this at our events. And so we developed what we call the rules of engagement for student sections, right? And so for the last 2.5 years, primarily at volleyball and basketball is where it happens the most, sometimes at softball. We will go up to each student section and we say, hey, these are the rules. This is what you can't say. This is your warning. You don't get another one. If we hear it, you're out. When in reality, a lot of that same conversation should probably be had with the adults in the arena as well.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's a lot of people, Jim. And what I mean by that is I remember when I was an AD, I was sitting behind the scores table for a JV girls game on a Saturday morning. And there was a gentleman from the opposing school who was just berating these two college kids who showed up on a Saturday morning to officiate these games. And finally, I turned around and I looked at him and I go, this is a JV girls game. Knock it off. And I knew who the guy was. And he came up to me after the game and he apologized. And he goes, I'm sorry. And I looked at him and I said, and he told me who he was. And I go, I know exactly who you are. And he was the superintendent of their school district.
Wow.
And I said, and I walked away. But if those people aren't setting an example for their other adults in the crowd, what foot do we have to stand on in there?
Right. And I think the thing that some of the athletic directors are like, well, we read a sportsmanship statement, so
right.
They should they should understand it. Well, read it all you want. I mean, we read them every time too, but we're also trying to make sure that our fans live up to that.
And at so many different schools, how many athletic directors are not only responsible for getting the officials where they need to go, they might be in charge of reading starting lineups. They might be in charge of making sure the popcorn machine is working. And at the same time, being in charge of their student section. Right. Managing the adults should not be necessarily be high on their priority list, but sadly it is in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree completely. I just think we have to continue to do a better job because, I think we know that a lot of the reason why our younger officials are not doing it, it's not because of the pay. Keep hearing that we need to raise the pay. And, I think most schools did raise the pay this year, we anywhere from 150 to 175 and that, and per official. And, what they don't understand is how much that even hurts some of our smaller districts like us. But, we're doing fine right now with it. But it's not about the pay because, they know they could go out and if you work 3 games a week and make $450, that's pretty good extra cash. And, but they don't want to listen. They don't want to take I'm yelling at them. It's not, they know it's not worth it. Or the official or the coaches, treating them, the way they do. And so I tell ours all the time, I said, we're not going to get younger officials if we continue to do this. We've got to be able to, know where they're at in their game and encourage them to be better and go from there. But I want to see that. I want to see that change. I mean, here we are and we talk about officials retiring, getting out. This is my last year. So, is there someone coming up to take all the places of the people that are getting out this year? Because I think I saw on Facebook, Russ Dempster, he's not doing it anymore. So, how many across the state is this their last year? And do we have enough officials new officials that are coming in that are going to do it?
Yep.
And I think, one of the things that we're trying to do on our podcast is educate. And like Jim had said earlier, we had a superintendent at Lennox the other night say he enjoyed watching us ref. And, you know, a lot of times now with our jackets, we're getting that from the crowd. Hey, we've heard about your podcast, blah, blah, blah. So I think we're trying to educate. But, you know, one of the things we're doing here shortly that kind of ties in with this, we're going to the AD convention this year and having a session. 3 sessions, right, Jim?
Yes. Yep.
That Monday morning where we're going to have those ADs in a room. And I think there's several things that we'd like to get across where we like to be protected. We like to have a hot shower, you know, just some simple things that you can do to help us, which I think in turn helps keep people in the game longer, I think, probably. Yep. So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we do the game. I know us three. We do the game. We love it. We know that we it's something to give back to the sport. I've always said it's paid exercise. You know, and we've got to find a way to get other officials, young officials, to understand that. You know, we hope that some of them are watching the podcast and knowing the fun that we have, you know, to and from games, and you know, and that, and outside of the officiating. You know, just, you know, had a birthday party a few weeks ago, and these two, you know, fools showed up, and you know, that's the kind of relationships, you know, you build and you have for the rest of your life, and I don't think they're all getting that, because for one, sometimes it's hard to just find a crew.
Yep.
So I mean, I went through it for 10 years after I was officiating, then I started coaching a little bit, and then I went back into the officiating, and I worked for about 10 years with random people every night. And it got to the point where I was almost done. I mean, Ben knows the story, because Ben's probably the one that's kept me in this game another, I don't know, 10 years, whatever it was how long we've been doing this. But, you know, after a state tournament game that I reffed, I mean, I really thought that year was going to be probably it for me. And he said, hey, would you like to run with us next year? We got a group of 6 guys, da-da-da. And I'm like, sounds like fun. And that kept me in it. And I think that's the one thing that some kids aren't getting right now, younger kids. They're working with all kinds of different people, so they're not building a relationship. It's just going and doing the work and getting paid.
It's isolating if you don't have someone that after a game, you know, you can call and run a scenario past, or, you know, people that you at least, whether you're in a crew regularly or not, if you're not at least seeing some of the same guys every other week, it can be an isolating job.
Yeah. And you know, like you talked about that, how many times have we throughout the year sent clips to each other, sometimes of games that we worked and maybe one of us wasn't on the game, or just today, Sam sent a couple clips of a game, and, you know, we're always talking about things, and you know, and just, it's more of a camaraderie that I think is losing its place in the officiating world.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said it before, for myself, you know, Ben is the one for me who not only got me into officiating, but also has mentored me year after year, you know. And if I didn't have someone like Ben, I don't know where the path would have taken me, quite honestly. Because like Ben said, you know, if you're not seeing the same guys night in and night out, you know, it can get, you know, kind of
more like a job.
Yeah, more like a job. Right. Yeah.
That's what it was getting to be for me. I mean, it really was. It was just like, okay, I'm going to drive to North Mahaska by myself, you know, and then the next night or whatever, Tuesday, I'm driving to Mount Air by myself and ref. You know, it just got to be the point where it was almost a struggle, and I loved it. I mean, I really loved doing it. And, you know, had it not been for working on with the crew that I've worked on for the last few years, I don't know that I'd have lasted till I was 60.
If you don't have a group of people that you can ride to with a game and send random text messages flipping people off, what do you really got going on?
Absolutely. I mean,
right? Thank you, Ben.
That's it. And honestly, like, I think we've talked about this. When we get done with a state tournament, it's like a little bit of withdrawal for a couple weeks there. We're like,
yeah,
well, where are those guys at?
What do you do now? Right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We send the meme like, hello.
Yeah, the nice thing about it this year, at least, you know, we get done with the state tournaments, you know, and a couple weeks later, we're going to all be at the AD convention together. So that's going to be nice to do this year. So, but hey, just some questions that are a little bit more just personal fun questions. You've been involved in high school sports, athletics, various roles. What's been your most rewarding experience so far?
In high school roles, going back to when I was at Ogden, coaching varsity girls basketball was honestly 3 of my favorite years of coaching. And I have coached now 2nd and 3rd grade boys. I have coached junior high boys. I have coached high school boys. I have coached college men, and I have coached high school girls. And those were 3 of my favorite years of coaching basketball. And so being in the school specifically, that was one of my favorite things. Right now, obviously a little bit different role. It was really weird. I still remember, like I said, I ran that tournament on a Saturday and started on a Monday at the Girls Union. And I remember that first day when my life from 8 to 4 o'clock was not dictated by a bell every 42 minutes. But I also realized really quickly that I missed some of that daily interaction with kids. And so we've kind of tried to, Taylor and I have kind of tried to fill that cup a little bit with some of the stuff we do with our programming and still getting into schools and, going down to Melcher Dallas and seeing facilities and still staying connected with coaches and ADs. I think that's one of the funnest things we still get to do right now.
Yeah. That was definitely a fun thing.
I want to throw up a comment here real quick. I missed this when we were kind of talking about it, but Adam Westerwald threw this up there. So that's a very good point, Adam. Before you even get your first game check, which can take a lot of time to get sometimes too, you're forking out some cash for sure. So that doesn't even include gas, to go to these places. So
right, and I've thought about that same thing there. I thought, why aren't we at least kind of having a graduated registration fee? Your first year's $10, your second year's $25, and then your third year you're up to the $50 because it is a tough thing to start off all the stuff you have to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jim, at your age, it'd be like $1,000 probably, or
is there a cap on that, Jim?
I think the cap is 50. So
I don't know. What do you get with an AARP card?
You get a lot of discounts, but there's no discount on the registration for girls and boys basketball registration. I know that because I've looked it up.
Did you try?
Yeah, I looked it up. It's not on there anywhere. I searced on my ARP app, and it didn't give me anything for the registration.
Yeah, but Skechers are 10% off.
Sometimes you can get them at 20.
Oh, man.
Okay. I'm going with another question here. Mm-hmm. If you could make one major change in high school sports today, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. We've talked about this a lot in our office. This is kind of a philosophical thing, but when we look at where we lose kids in high school athletics, one of the things we've talked about is, we have restrictions right now on contact that high school coaches can have, right? And there's a lot of discussions and a lot of different ways it could go of, if you open up contact to a certain period or to a certain extent, are you opening up a can of worms and leaving that all on the plate of an AD to manage for all of his coaches? But also with everything that kind of goes on in the club world now too, the coaches in schools, from our standpoint, are the people that we want interacting with these kids, right? They're the ones that we want having contact with them and being positive influences for them, through school-based activities. I think that's something we've discussed at length. I'm not on the committee that's doing it right now, so I'm not exactly sure where we're at with that. But I think there's benefit to kind of opening that up a little bit to see what possibilities that gives coaches to be a little more influential within their programs. On a little more out there thing, man, during COVID with limited crowds and going back to not so many people yelling at officials, that was a time we joke about fondly of, there were a lot less crowd incidents back in that era when the gyms weren't so full, but obviously that's not a realistic one. But.
Right. Okay.
That was such a weird time though, too.
It was weird indeed.
Well, what was really weird about it was that was it was my first year of refereeing a boys state championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the week, I'm talking to my nephew who is on the board of control there, and he said, they might end up canceling the rest of the tournament. And I'm like, oh, that's great. First year, I'm not going to get a ref a championship game. And then all of a sudden, it was 100. They allowed 150, I think, per school to be in there. And that was weird because, when you're in there for most games and, you got a lot of people in there, you don't hear a lot of things in the crowd. You'll hear some of them that are very loud and that, but you could hear the sneakers squeaking on the floor more than you could hear anything. And that was definitely different. But
and the following winter during that basketball season, when you were limiting who could come in and people were spreading out, you were less likely to stand up and yell and berate at somebody if you were going to get pinpointed in half a second.
Right.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
For
well,
sure.
And that's a thing that I think that, and maybe this isn't the right way to do it, but this has been probably more than 10 years ago. I just remember doing a game refereeing at Woodward Granger, I-35. I think it was on a Saturday afternoon. And the lady is just absolutely just screaming at me from the crowd for a good 20 seconds. That feels like 20 minutes when you're on the basketball floor. I just stopped the game. I said, I need the athletic director. He comes over, and I just thought, if she's going to try to embarrass me, watch this. And I just pointed at her and I said, if she says one more thing, she's leaving. And we never had anybody say anything the rest of the night. I don't know if that's what we need to do more of. Probably not. But it was like, at some point in time, those people have to be called out. Mm-hmm. And I did it. And I guess maybe, some may have regretted it, but probably not.
I feel like every time we've called somebody out, looked at them, like they usually fold pretty quick.
Yeah, usually it's their head goes down or they look to somebody else or whatever. But
like the live version of the keyboard warrior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever they want. So you turn around and look them in the eye, and then they.
Yeah. Yep.
And Sam is really good at picking somebody out of a crowd. Like,
man,
you got it, man.
Hawkeye. He's got it. He's right there.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Okay, one last question that I've got for you is you oversee the golf, correct?
Volleyball and golf, yep.
Okay. What's your dream golf foursome?
Playing with?
Yeah.
Oof. I think Tiger.
Easy,
right? Phil.
Yeah, but you have to have him for entertainment.
Yeah, you're in it. You're in it. Yep. So
Tiger, Phil, me, and my dad.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
I grew up Sunday afternoons, falling asleep, taking naps on the floor, watching golf with my dad.
Awesome.
That's cool.
So
awesome. And that's a great. Those two would be fantastic, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the bets, the bickering, all of it.
From a purely comedic enjoyment standpoint, Bryson, Scotty Scheffler, and Rory would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed.
What about John Daly?
John.
Absolutely. That would be comedic.
He can drive the cart.
Yeah.
John Daly.
He could drive the beer cart.
Yeah. I would drink so many Arnold Palmers.
That's funny.
That's a good one.
So tell us a little bit, what goes into planning a week like the wrestling state tournament or the girls state tournament. And obviously, we kind of highlighted last year, you guys changed the floor at the girls state tournament. Mm-hmm. You're a big part of that. So tell us 5 things that you're doing to get ready for these type of things.
Yeah, so my role on top of the volleyball and golf administrator is I'm also in charge. Operations technically is part of my title with that. So as we prep for 6 days of state basketball, I work directly with the arena's event coordinator for that week. So we have met multiple times with her, just going through our manifest, even from a facility setup, what we need in every room, where locker rooms are going to be. And at this point, a lot of it is rinse and repeat from a year-to-year basis. So that piece of it's pretty easy. But also, I'm supposed to have a meeting today with our graphics company to talk graphics on the floor, different things that we do around the arena for the qualifying teams. Had a meeting the other day with the audio techs at the arena. One of the things we started doing at state volleyball this year was creating like 30-second hype videos for the finalists for the state champions after their semifinal game. So we're going to try to replicate that again for state basketball this year. So There's a lot that goes into that, and just making sure, audio visual techs are on the same side of that. One of the things we've added in the last year in this basketball here is actually the first sport that we're doing twice is our future champions clinics. So at state basketball, we have the arena rented throughout the entire week. And obviously on Saturday, we don't get started till the afternoon. And so we started talking about how can we utilize the space of the arena and do something impactful that morning since we're renting it anyway. And so we started something called Future Champions Clinics geared towards 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls, a clinic that we cap at 100 people. And then they come in for about an hour and a half clinic that Saturday morning. So I work with Taylor on scheduling that and getting that planned out. That's been a huge hit for us. Not only, so when they register for those clinics, they get a t-shirt, they get a basketball for free, and then they get 2 complimentary tickets to Saturday's championship games. So not only are we trying to get them into the arena, we're trying to just, kind of keep them engaged in basketball. Obviously that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade area is a place where we lose a lot of kids in basketball. And so trying to gain momentum there. So it's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of preparation. But on the front side of that, I'm kind of in charge of coordinating with our staff, getting everything set up. We have a big working note that all of us have shared on our phones, and everyone has assignments for you're hanging this sign where and here. And so we get in there Sunday night, typically 4:30, 5 o'clock after the state AAU wrestling tournament. And so we've kind of learned to be a little more efficient. I think the first year I was there, we were there till about 1 a.m, getting that all set up. Wow. And then the last couple of years, we've been able to be out of there by about 10. So it makes for a late night starting a long week. But, getting everybody on the same page and getting in and out as quick as we can is a good way to get that week off on the right foot.
So was, you talked a lot about the rinse and repeat. Was the Extreme Arena where you started having volleyball a couple of years, was that kind of a new challenge then because you hadn't been there before?
So that was certainly challenging from my standpoint because that was my first year as the volleyball administrator. So not only was that my first year trying to figure that out, how a state tournament operated, but also doing it in an arena that we had never been in before.
Wow.
Sure. And so there was a lot of trial and error in that first year. I think the first year still went shockingly really, really well for being in a brand new venue. But there's a lot of things that we have tinkered with over the last 2 years, having been there 3 years now. And I think, making small improvements to it. A lot of the things we talk about as a staff is when we get done with a big tournament like volleyball or a big tournament like basketball, something, a week long, a lot of the things and a lot of the critiques that we have of that tournament are things that the average spectator never even notices. And so it's important from our lens that we keep making sure that we're recognizing that and making, tiny changes that are going to enhance the experience of not only the teams that are there, but also the spectators in the stands too. So
you guys in the last 5 years, 5 years have done an excellent job in a girls' state basketball tournament. Especially I like the way that you treat the girls that are in the tournament. I mean, they just feel like they are, the queens of basketball for a week.
Yep.
I mean, you got that whole area where they can go and hang out. They got the big chair that they can sit and take a picture in. I mean, I think you guys celebrate your tournaments overwhelmingly great.
I think one of the things we talk about often is, we don't have an exact number on this, but we always say, like 90% of kids who play high school sports are never going to make a state tournament, right? The number is really high. And of those that make a state tournament, even fewer are ever going to play in a title game. And so winning a state championship is a big deal.
Yeah.
Making state is a big deal. And so we try to make sure that that's a core memory for those kids. And it's, throwing some posters up and throwing up little things that, picture ops and stuff like that, I think goes a long way for something that can create a memorable experience for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've seen it on the softball side too. It's just, I think it's something you guys do really well in every sport, and the girls really do appreciate it. And, I even love it. I've seen it obviously on basketball side as an official, but I just love everything you guys do. And a lot of times, even if, Winterset's not playing in the state tournament or in the either state tournament or a championship game, I come up and hang out with you guys and just kind of take it all in because it's such a great experience. So
I think some of the cool things is that a lot of our state tournament experiences, there's unique pieces to every one of them. whether it's volleyball or basketball or, soccer this year is going to be our first year that we're in Ames for that tournament. And so there's some things that we're going to do a little differently than what we've done in the past for that. And so we have, like I said, we have bowling in a week and a half, and that tournament is unlike any tournament we put on. It's one of my favorites, but every one of them is different. Even with the consistencies we have across the board, they're all unique, and they all have, little tidbits that we try to make unique for that sport.
Well, awesome.
Where's bowling held at then?
Bowling is at Cadillac Lanes in Waterloo.
Okay.
Is that a big arena, a big lane?
I want to say there are 32 lanes there.
Oh, wow.
So we have 3 classes. So we have 3 classes of bowling, and we have an individual tournament and a team tournament. And we do it right now this year, still simultaneously with the boys. So we are essentially getting through 12 different tournaments, really. 6 individual and 6 team tournaments in 3 days. So
that's crazy.
And it's, think of a bowling alley. We can only fit so many people in there. And so tickets are at a premium, and the people that are there are really passionate about it, and the kids are really passionate about it. And it's a lot of fun.
Are there bowling officials?
There are not. You said you watched the Monday Minute.
I have not this week.
Hold on. I'm going to have to go back and find. We did a winter officials recognition, and we talked about thanking all of our basketball and wrestling officials, but we don't have to worry about our bowling officials because no one ever complains about them.
I think I did watch that one, but it never registered. No, really.
No, there are no bowling officials.
I don't know why my mind goes here, but I just can't help but think of Kingpin.
Right?
The movie. Bill Murray.
Ben, this will relate to you as a softball dad. There are cheers at bowling meets.
I believe that.
What?
Uh-huh.
I believe that.
Girl walks up, knocks down a pin, or knocks down a strike. We want another one, just like the other one.
Nice.
and they don't say it softly. And that's why when you have that many kids bowling at once, the coolest thing about bowling in my mind is that all those kids celebrate one another. And what I mean by that is if you have a kid who gets to that last frame and they have an opportunity for, whether it's a 300 or a massive game, the whole alley stops and they all watch that. And it's the coolest tournament in terms of kids who celebrate their opponents.
Yeah, I think that's the same with. I like that. I watched the same thing with cross country and track.
Yep.
I mean, they'll finish across the line, and those girls that finish in the top 10, they're usually there, high fiving the kids that come through at the end, and on the course, you're watching them run, and every coach is cheering on other kids, and same at track meet, state track meet, kids in the long jump or the high jump, and the whole crowd starts clapping for them. Yeah, that's a really neat thing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Anything else for Ben tonight?
I asked him a bunch of questions, so
we'll probably think of more. Maybe we'll get you on down to the state tournament. We got plans to try to. Yeah, we'll have to find you because we'll need a suite or something.
How many people have you had on twice now?
Joe
and you, who were both on that same day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we might get you on a third time while we're there and talk very specific to basketball type things.
We can do that.
So, we'd like to get on again down there with better
and we'll find a place
technology. Well, I think with our stuff now, we can probably do it a little bit easier, but we'll see.
Do I get a cool pair of headphones like you guys have?
We'll make it happen.
We'll see.
Deal.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, Ben.
Thanks for
looking forward to hanging out here in a few weeks. So,
yep, for sure.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Ben.
Take care,
thank
Ben.
you.
Thanks.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, good guy.
Great guy.
We'll have to bring some pictures and stories from the state tournament and some stuff when we get down the road here a little bit. But
absolutely.
I forgot to show a couple pictures here as we were going through our games. First, shout out to Lennox for thanking us. I thought this was pretty cool. We had
Yes.
a thank you card in their school colors, and then
That's cool.
says thank you for coming to Lennox tonight to officiate, and signed by both boys and girls team members. And you know, we see those from time to time and just love having that stuff. And it just kind of reiterates why we do it, for the right reasons, and just fun as heck. So
I'm going to tell you, if you don't have a picture or put it up sometime on the one that Addie Wadley gave you, she's going to give me a hard time at school when she sees this and that. So
I already have it framed, so I'm going to have to take it out of all of that. But maybe I'd been more anxious to put it up if, you know, she'd stuck around and said hi to me that weekend or something. So.
Because
or maybe if she gets a shirt that doesn't say Jim's biggest fan.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, she went to see her boyfriend perform in show choir, so you know,
we'll allow it.
You're below him on her list of favorites.
That's fair.
Well,
yeah,
that is totally fair, and we missed her. So thank you, Addie, for that. That was great, and I will get it on. We'll go home and put it in my truck to have on my desk next time. So
awesome.
Jim, we're not going to do any fool's rules. We'll save that for another time.
Yep.
And also, I wanted to tell everybody, if you're not watching the Monday Minute, even if you're not involved in kids having high school stuff right now, watch it. It's fun. It's good stuff.
Very good.
So,
how do you find that, Ben? Or Jim?
Twitter.
Do you get
on
it
YouTube?
Right? Do you get it emailed to you, Jim?
I do get it emailed to me, so I think you probably can go on and probably get on the list that they email it out to. But yeah, I get it every Monday. Here it comes, so it's nice because I would probably sometimes forget if I didn't get the email directly to me.
But Twitter,
see, I don't have the email, but I always go and look it up on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it. So. But I do need to get that email. That would be a lot easier. So I'm gonna circle that too. I got a lot of things I get to come up with. Sam, did you want me to show another picture that we took at Lennox?
Oh man, what was this one?
I don't remember.
Yes, you do. Right when we got out of the truck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So this is just another one of those stupid things that we see or do, and so Sam's text us. Not sure whose vehicle this is, but it was classy. So
first one we saw.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, good stuff. All right, let's finish up here talking about what we have left. Tomorrow night, couple games. I am running to Bondurant Farrar for Knoxville boys only, with Chris Lynch and Chris Thomas, kind of on my own from you guys, but gonna have a good night with Chris and Chris. So looking forward to that. And Sam, you're actually doing a first round girls tournament game, correct?
I am. Yep.
Where you got?
I am at Lamoni versus
Seymour.
Seymour. Yep.
Okay. Jim, that's in your bracket, isn't it?
They are in our bracket, I believe so. Yes.
And you have a home game.
We have a home game. We are playing Southeast Warren that night, so hopefully we get onto that one, and we will have a second round home game also. We have very good team in our two good teams, probably I would say, in our bracket with Mount Air and Montezuma. We'd meet up with Montezuma first, and I think they're ranked 6th. They've always been a quality team the last, I don't know how many years, but it's been a while. So they're good.
Yep.
And, a reminder kind of our listeners, we don't always know kind of where we're going or who we're going to be with at tournament time. And so Jim hosts 2 first round games, so we obviously wouldn't be with him. And then I have a regular season game. So Sam's kind of on his own that night with a couple other guys. And same next week, Jim, you have a home game on Tuesday, the 18th. And Sam, you're kind of going on a quick vacation in Nashville, I believe. So I'm with Grant Mandernack and Travis Graven. Travis Graven, has been on our show. So we're going to do Mount Air girls and the winner of Sam's game, that Lamoni Seymour game, I think. So that should be a good night. So And then really after that, we don't know at this point, unless we've got something. And since we've kind of been on the air here, I'll check real quick. No, nothing. So our schedule next week and the week after is kind of up in the air at this point as they release, 4A, 5A girls brackets came out today. And some boys, I think 1A, 2A came out yesterday. So we'll start kind of getting games kind of down the road here, but just don't have any really other than the two we just kind of told you about. So we'll the next time we're on, we'll kind of talk about all that. But I was kind of thinking, what's that?
Missy loves this time of year.
Yeah.
We don't know when the hell we're going to be working.
Yeah. Don't know where we're going and when and who we're with.
Totally. It's the great unknown. And, who are you going to have? Well, it depends on this and this. And
yeah.
So I was kind of thinking about our next podcast in 2 weeks would be that week before the state tournament. And we talked about having one at the state tournament. So my guess is we'll probably just wait until we get to the state tournament and we can kind of recap our playoff run here. Well, hopefully we'll be at the state tournament. I guess we'll have a podcast there regardless, but never take that for granted. We may not make it as officials, but we'll be there as podcasters. How about that? So, and then kind of like we briefly touched on, March 31st, we're going to go to the AD convention in Coralville. And that's something Jim's been a part of for a long time, but invited us. And thanks to Matt Icorn, who I believe is president right now, for getting us on the docket. And we're going to have 3 sessions there where we take questions and kind of talk about life as an official. So I think that'll be interesting for sure.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll, hopefully some ADs realize that maybe there's some things that we can all do better. And I'm saying that as myself, as far as hosting officials. I mean, it's nice when you feel welcomed when you come into a building. I can say
for
that.
Sure.
What's the number one candy bar they like to give out?
Snickers.
It's always Snickers.
100%.
Why is that, Jim?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I really don't know.
I've gotten 1 Kit Kat this year. 1.
Here's my perception. You probably buy the same amount of candy bars of everything, right?
Right.
How many people are going to the concession stand and actually buying a Snickers versus a Kit Kat or a Twix?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you might be right.
You know what?
I don't know why anybody would buy Milky Ways because I can't stand them.
That's ridiculous. That's a heinous statement.
Or a Three Musketeers. They both are terrible.
I don't know if they're terrible.
No, they're terrible.
They're not terrible.
I'd eat them.
We know that.
You know what Missy did with all of my Snickers bars so far?
What's
on
that?
Super Bowl Sunday? She made apple Snicker salad.
Oh,
nice.
Great way to use them.
You didn't bring any to us?
I haven't
Thanks
seen
a lot.
you since. Oh, yeah, I have seen you since.
Yeah.
I did want to give one other shout out. The 29th, our podcast on the 29th, we had talked about having head coach Maddie Gilbert from Roland Story, and didn't want to really spoil anything at that time, but she could not be on because her water had broke, and I didn't want us to be the mouse that said that.
Yeah.
But she on the 30th had twin boys, so Jack and Ben, and I believe because they were early, are at blank.
One of them's
I'm not sure
Ben?
if they're home yet. Yes, right.
Wow.
Also,
wow.
So yeah, shout out to Maddie. Hopefully we'll get her on down the road here, and hopefully she's able to, maybe make it to her team's games here, kind of down the stretch, because they're rated, and I think they probably have a good shot at making state. So
yeah.
Anyway, shout out, congratulations to them.
Absolutely.
Missy chiming in.
I just roll with it. Pretty much like she does all season. It's really not just now. I mean, she probably doesn't know half the time where he's going anyway because he doesn't tell her.
You're right.
This might be my favorite comment ever. Thank you, Brent, for bringing some realism to this podcast.
Yes.
Oh, you're a jerk, Brent.
No Milky Way or Three Musketeers. Get the hell
They're
out
terrible.
You're
no,
terrible.
they're not.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening again to us blab and make fun of Jim.
As always.
Good luck to all of you officials, coaches, players, as we get into tournament season here. And we'll see you down the road somewhere.
Awesome.
Anything else, guys?
No. I'm ready for the playoffs.
Playoffs! All right, boys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.